In February 1959, 9 hikers disappeared into the freezing wilderness of the Ural Mountains. When Soviet investigators eventually found their bodies, they quietly closed the case with a single, haunting conclusion. The hikers had been killed by an unknown, compelling force. Igor Dyatlov led a group of athletes and engineers who were already fully certified in extreme winter survival. They were trained to navigate by the stars, build shelters in blinding snowstorms, and endure the most dangerous ratings a trail could receive. 3 weeks after they missed their scheduled check-in, search parties scoured the wilderness. They eventually spotted a dark shape jutting out of the deep snow on the exposed, windswept slope of a peak known to the local Mansi tribe as Kalatsyak, Dead Mountain. It was the group's heavy canvas tent, half collapsed and violently slashed open. The fabric was turned outward. The cuts were made from the inside. Someone had been in such a desperate hurry to escape that they didn't even take the seconds required to unbutton the exit. Inside that ruined tent, investigators found the group's personal belongings perfectly arranged. Their heavy winter coats, insulated boots, warm gloves, and even an untouched meal were sitting right there on the blankets, entirely ignored as the blizzard raged outside at 20 degrees below zero. This leaves us with a singular question. What kind of threat forces 9 survival experts to destroy their only shelter and flee barefoot into an Arctic night? The tracks leaving the tent were perfectly preserved in the freezing crust. Instead of chaotic leaving strides, the footprints showed an orderly march. The group walked side by side, slowly descending toward the dark tree line nearly a mile away. About a mile away, at the edge of the forest, searchers found the first 2 bodies beneath a massive cedar tree. They were frozen solid, staring up at the sky. Yet, despite the sub-zero temperatures, both men had been stripped down to their underwear. Medical science identifies this behavior as paradoxical undressing. In the lethal final stages of hypothermia, as the core temperature drops, the brain malfunctions. The muscles controlling blood vessels in the extremities suddenly relax, rushing warm blood back to the skin. The victim feels as if they are burning alive and strips off their clothes just moments before their heart stops. 3 more bodies were found spaced out along the slope, including Igor Dyatlov. Their frozen positions told a tragic story. They were found in crawling positions, fighting the wind and snow, desperately trying to return to the tent and the gear they had abandoned. It took 4 months for the spring thaw to reveal the final 4 hikers buried in a rocky ravine. While rumors focused on missing eyes and tongues, forensic pathologists note that soft tissue is the first thing to be lost to running meltwater and small scavengers in a creek bed. The true mystery lay in the autopsies. This skeletal diagram shows the catastrophic internal trauma found in the ravine. Ribs were shattered and a skull was fractured, with a force equivalent to a high-speed car crash. Yet despite the shattered bones, their skin showed no external bruises or marks of impact. The evidence points in opposite directions. Orderly footprints lead to a frozen death at the tree line, while a few yards away, hikers were crushed by an invisible force that left their skin untouched. Testing later revealed trace amounts of beta radiation on the hikers' clothing, and when investigators developed the film from the group's cameras, the very last frame showed a blurry, glowing anomaly against the pitch-black background. The modern Russian government officially supports an avalanche theory, but an avalanche rarely occurs on a shallow 15-degree slope, and it wouldn't leave the tent partially standing or the footprints perfectly preserved on the surface of the snow. A second possibility involves the Kármán vortex street. This animation shows how wind interacting with the shape of a mountain can generate infrasound, low-frequency waves that humans cannot hear, but our bodies can feel. Infrasound can hijack the brain's fight-or-flight response, causing an overwhelming sense of dread and blinding panic. It explains the desperate escape from the tent, but it cannot explain shattered bones or radiation. During the search, another hiking group reported seeing glowing orange spheres floating over Dead Mountain. A low-altitude aerial detonation or missile test would create a concussive shockwave. This pressure can shatter bones without marking the skin, while explaining both the radiation and the glowing anomaly. However, the Soviet secret police were notoriously efficient at cleaning up sensitive sites. If they were covering up a failed weapons test, they would not have left the tent, the detailed journals, and the bodies to be discovered by a volunteer search party. In the immediate aftermath, the Soviet government ordered the lead investigator to bury the case. They sealed the files and held closed casket funerals, keeping the details of the investigation hidden for decades. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a perfect locked room mystery. Every piece of evidence that seems to solve one anomaly instantly creates a new contradiction that defies logic. The case endures because it acts as a mirror for our own anxieties. We look at the evidence and project what we fear most, whether it is a military conspiracy, an invisible psychological trigger, or the simple, indifferent brutality of the wild. Even with modern technology and declassified files, Kholat Syakh refuses to give up its secrets. The truth remains buried under 60 years of ice. The mountain claimed 9 lives, and it serves as a reminder that some stories are never truly over, because the evidence proves we aren't always safe from the unknown.